Hey everybody, and welcome to EnvisionOPG One Piece gameplay. My name's Kevin, or Vision, or if you watch my Twitch, XNX Vision, I'll answer to pretty much anything, honestly. But today I'm going to be going over a Kinemon deck profile, and I'm really excited to get this to you. I have a new setup, as you guys can tell, so really excited to start producing content at a higher rate than I normally do. So hopefully we'll be getting more profiles to you, more gameplay to you, and really excited about what the future holds. So we will be going over the Kinemon deck list, but first we are doing a starter deck giveaway. Guys, if you go in the description of this video, and the last 3 or 4 really, you'll see 3 links for 3 different giveaways. If you want to get into each giveaway, you can. You just have to do it individually. I'll be giving away starter decks, and we're actually really close to our 4th giveaway. So the first 3 were for 25, 50, and 100 subs, and we're almost to 200, which is the 4th. So if we get to 200, I can start that 4th giveaway. Really excited for it. We will set these over here. Kinemon is a deck that I think is going to do really well in set 2. You've already seen kind of it top in Japan when set 2 was a thing. It was topping pretty frequently. Kinemon says activate main once per turn. If you have 1 or less characters, the next time you play a Land of Wano type character with a cost of 3 or more from your hand, during this turn, the cost will be reduced by 1. And the really cool thing, if you're a good Kinemon player, the cool thing to do is to go second and then first turn Okiku. And that is just immense pressure. It's pretty insane, right? The things that this deck can do. But that is Kinemon. And we'll put that here. We're going to do the searchers first. Is obviously you're going to run Momonosuke. Momonosuke is check the top 5 cards for a Land of Wano type card. Add it to your hand and put the rest on the bottom of the deck in any order. That is just going to help you get the cards you need to use his ability, or just add to your hand. It's a really good plus. Speaking of searchers, if you played green in set 1, you know this card. Bonnie is a 1-cost search, and it does the same thing Momo does, except it does it for supernovas. So if you're familiar with the kid deck, you'll be familiar with really both of these cards because you ran both searchers in that deck. Really good. Then we run 4 of the beige Capone. It is just the 1-cost blocker, chump blocker that you run in the deck. This deck runs a lot of blockers, so you'll have a lot of protection for your big beefy guys. I'm running 2 of the Toki blocker, 1 cost, as long as there is an Odin on the board, and that includes both Yamatos and the 8-cost Kazuki Odin. She becomes a blocker, and so that's really handy. This build's really tight, so difficult to fit everything in. So you're going to see a couple 2 and 3 ofs in the deck. Nekomamushi, I run it as a 2 of. It taps on play, tap a 3 or less cost character on your opponent's side of the board, and that is just a good utility piece. If you want to get pieces off the board, that's a good way to do it. Tap, chump blockers, and swing for game, another good thing to do. We are running 3 of the Scratch Mana Poo. That is a supernova that is searchable with Bonnie. It is also a 2k counter from hand. That's mainly what you're using it for. There will rarely be a time where you want to play him for his ability. I guess if you were going to do it, it's likely going to be against purple. Probably. Yeah. Let's see here. We are running 4 of the Killer. Killer is a 2-cost blocker that if you block with it and it has a Don under it, you get to draw a card. So it's another card that lets you add a card to hand, which there are quite a few of in this deck. And one of the best ones to do it is right here. I run 4 of the Raizo. It is a Land of Wano card, so it's searchable with Momonosuke. It's a 3-cost. When you attack, as long as there are 2 or more rested characters, that includes itself, you can draw a card for free. I mean, sometimes you'll have this card on board, and you won't be able to hit anything, but you'll have tapped like a Momonosuke, and you just swing for it, anything, and just get a free draw. And it's pretty much used its effect. Like, that's what makes this card really good, is that you get to draw for free. So we like Raizo. We run 4 of the Izo. Izo is on play. Rest up to 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. This gets rid of some of the bigger characters on your opponent's side of the field. Most of this deck is really about controlling the board state, swinging at life, protecting your big beefy guys. So yeah, it's essentially like the play style for the deck. We are running 4 Okikus. Okiku is a Don 1 when attacking. Rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. We love Okiku. The thing to do if you're Kinemon is to go second, play Okiku for free. Well, not for free, but for 2. And then you just have immediate pressure on the board so that anything that they play turn 2 likely gets tapped. Has to get tapped, actually, because they're going to go 1 Don and then 3 Don. So anything they play for 3 or less, I mean, it's getting rested. And so you can effectively clear board super early with this build. We are running 4 of the Yamato. Can you see that? 4 Yamato. Is that good? Slide that over here. We are running 4 of the new Yamato. And it is you treat it as Kazuki Odin, so this does become a blocker here as long as this is on the field. On play, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or less. And that hits a lot of your bigger blockers too. Like that hits Queen, which I think is really good. It's just a good number to hit, and it just does a really good job of helping you clear board. 2 of the 5 cost Yamato, and this is just a pressure piece. I really like it. You don't necessarily have to run it. It's also treated as Kazuki Odin, so again, Toki gets the block here. It gets double attack and banish, which I think are 2 pretty insane mechanics to have on 1 card. Double attacks means where you would deal 1 damage normally, you do 2, and banish means the life cards that you take with this card, they do not actually go to your opponent's hand, they go to the discard pile. So it just takes away those resources, and you can just surround 5-drop Yamato with a bunch of blockers and swing. They have to take it if they don't have blockers or counter from hand. It's a really good pressure piece. Like, you can't afford to not have those 2 cards in your hand. We are playing 2 of the 7-drop Kid. 7-drop Kid says it is a blocker, but you don 1 at the end of your turn. Set this card as active. So you throw a Don under this. You swing for 8 at whatever target you choose. At the end of your turn, it stands up and becomes a blocker again. That's a really, really good pressure piece. Also, if you played any of the 8-drop or any of the Kid decks in set 1, you're very familiar with 7-drop Kid. Just as I'm sure you are familiar with the 8-drop Kid as well. 8-drop Kid is... Jarrett says 8-drop Kid was a set 3 card that was released in set 1, which is why it was so successful in the first set. But it says Don 1 on your opponent's turn. If this character is rested, your opponent cannot attack any character other than Eustace Captain Kidd. It's an 8k base, so it's really, really beefy, and your opponent has to swing at it. If you just surround this card with a bunch of chump blockers, like 2-drop Killer, Beige, Toki, then you should be absolutely fine, really and truly. And then the last boss monster we are running 3 of the new 8-drop Kazuki Odin. And this guy's pretty insane. Activate main once per turn. Rest 3, you set this character as active, so it restands. On KO, play up to 1 Land of Wano type character with a cost of 3 from your deck, then shuffle your deck. So there are a couple things that you can do with this, right? So what I like to do, because normally I would get there was a 3-cost blocker that I tossed around the idea. It's the set 2 Nekomamushi is a 3-cost blocker that you could have gotten, but the build is just too tight to fit it in, honestly. So what you can do is you can just get Okiku on board, which I really like that play. But you can feasibly you can target like Okiku, you can target Izo and tap another 4 cost or less attacker or chump blocker if you plan on swinging for game on the crackback. So there's a few things that you can do here, but it's just swinging twice is really insane. Like, that's a win condition in and of itself. It's like if they have no life and 1 blocker, you swing for 15, rest 3, swing for 15 again. It's likely going to be game, barring some insane like hand counter that they have, right? And then the last card that we run 3 of the Punk Gibson. It is a 4K counter. It rests an opponent's 4 or less. Pretty self-explanatory. you're familiar with Punk Gibson, I'm sure you are. But yeah, this is the Kinemon list. I'll leave it here for a second so you guys can check it out. Kinemon is one of those things, one of those decks that I believe has performed well for a reason. It's a very, very strong deck. This build is extremely consistent. If you're going to change something, you definitely don't need to run the Yamato. I like the pressure that it gives, especially early. You don't have to wait until you hit 7 Dawn or 8 Dawn to apply pressure. You can do it at 4, right? So, well, especially with Kinemon's ability, you hit 4, you play this, surround it with blockers, and all of a sudden they're like having to counter for however much Dawn you put under it. But it is a 5k base, double attack advantage. Like you can't realistically let 2 of your life cards go to the graveyard and be in a good position to win. You just can't let that card hit. But yeah, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you have any suggestions or thoughts or your own list even, I'd like to hear those. I'm interested in that. Don't forget, starter deck giveaway. I do want to keep, I'm emphasizing it because I would like everybody who can to enter, give everybody a chance to win, especially because we have a lot more coming up. So my plan is once we hit 200 subs, we're going to do one. I've already announced that, so we're doing that for sure. And then I'll likely wait until it's either going to be 400 or 500 subs. We'll see how the growth works, but that's probably going to be the case. So yeah, before I go, the big shout out to Iron City Games, Anthony Casella, Jose Hascanga, Jarrett Hubbard, Noman, Irfan, the homies that really helped me like kind of put this list together and help me play test it. I really appreciate those guys. They're awesome. We've got some more deck lists coming out. I've got a Z deck list from Anthony that I've got coming. I've got a spicy little Magellan deck list that we're kind of vibing with. We'll see. We'll see if it gets uploaded, but it'll be pretty cool. And then Smoker, obviously, we have that built, and we are currently playtesting that. So, yeah. But guys, make sure you, please, if you like the content, make sure you like, subscribe, share, ring the bell for notifications. And again, I appreciate all the love and support. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And until next time, have a great, great rest of your day.